Uppercut, uppercut, sonic boom! Well, hello there, humans of his earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you're lucky enough indeed to be doing it too. Welcome back to the channel, I'm Bushka. And today I'm going to be talking about the Vector. I'm going to talk a little bit about its place in the meta for the game at the moment, why it's such an interesting weapon nowadays, and it really is just the poster child of exactly where PUBG Mobile is in terms of devices and technology. It's a crazy way of putting it, but I really think it's an allegory for that. And I also want to talk about its history a little bit, and why I find it such an exciting gun to run. Anyway, let's kick this off. The meta right now is all about spraying, and that's the M416. Let's be honest about this. There's a lot of other weapons that can give you a lot of joy and fun, but the player base has found a way to dumb it down as much as possible, and that is the M416. It's long-range sprays, so you don't have to take a lot of risk, and you just lie down and set up your gyroscope and off you go. The Vector is not about that. The Vector is about CQC. And to really understand this, we need to talk a little bit about some of the numbers. Now, this is from my webpage, thebushka.com, which lists the stats of all the guns in the game. If you want to know what they do, go and check this out. And I want to talk about these two numbers here, the time to kill in Smooth Extreme and the time to kill at Smooth 90 frames per second. That's 0.255 at 90 and 0.31 at Smooth Extreme. Those are important numbers because that's a huge difference. Now, that number is basically the time it takes to clear a level 2 vest with this gun. When you are playing this at 60 frames per second, this game at 60 frames per second, you can clear a level 2 vest with the Vector in 0.31 seconds. Now, that is mediocre. That's pretty standard. Nothing spectacular. In fact, there are many, many weapons in the game that can clear faster. Hell, in the SMGs, at 60 frames per second, the Tommy gun, the UMP, the Uzi, the MP5K, they will all clear a level 2 vest faster than the Vector. When you start getting to 90 frames per second, when you start running smooth and 90 frames per second, and as we progress, more and more devices are going to be able to do this, then the Vector suddenly takes a massive 16% shift to the positive and will clear a target in 0.255 seconds. Now, that is a huge difference. There is no way around this. It is absolutely incredible that just running another 30 frames a second will give you a 16% increase in the time to clear a target, because the rate of fire in the Vector drops so drastically from around, now this is at Smooth and Extreme, the Vector's rate of fire is around every 0.062 seconds. At 90 frames per second, it is every 0.051 seconds. So you're seeing a lot more people run this weapon. People who have an idea on what's going on in the game. This is better than the Uzi now. The Vector is much better than the Uzi now when you're running it at 90 frames per second. Not only does it have more rounds, which is really, really important, the Vector's base damage is 32 and the Uzi's base damage is 25.9. The Vector is super easy to control recoil-wise. Super easy to control recoil-wise. And unlike the Uzi, it can also mount like a vertical stock, a vertical foregrip, a tactical stock. Those are the kind of things that will make a gun really behave well. You can even put a 3X on this thing, and the Vector will legitimately give you a good weapon. A weapon that can spray targets pretty effectively, in fact. 2Xs, 3Xs, 4Xs, whatever. I've used them all on the Vector and it works really, really well. Where it does fall down just a little is a lot of people complain, and I was talking to Evan, one of the patrons this morning in chat, about the Vector's range and how it's not so effective at range. And I think the problem with that is, like a lot of the SMGs, it has a very, very low shell velocity and a lightweight shell. So when a target's moving in towards you, it's very easy to track them and clear them. But when a target is being erratic and moving a lot left to right rather than just moving in towards you or away from you, then the Vector's rate of fire actually works against you. When the gun fires so fast, you can see at range, no problems when it's in a straight line. But when the gun fires so fast and has such a low shell velocity, the Vector's shell velocity is really crap. It's 384 meters a second. Compare that to an M416, which is 900 meters a second. You can see, as long as they're moving just in a straight line, you can easily manage a spray. But you get the rounds out so fast that if they're changing course, there's just no time. One of the other reasons I really love the Vector is that it has an exceptionally good reload. With an extended quick draw mag, you're looking at about 1.48 seconds on the reload. So you can really use this as a primary weapon and still have a lot of time to reset engagements and get things going. You can see me swapping between the QBZ and now for the CQC, I go for the Vector. And it's so good at this rather than being involved in the hip fire, obviously, because it has explosive damage. It's not perfect. I mean, you can see this guy's got a Tommy gun, and a Tommy gun will still clear a target faster than a Vector. A Tommy gun can get down to 2.24 of a second in 60 frames per second. Tommy gun's actually one of these weird ones that's slower. If you want to know all this stuff, I did a video on this like a few days ago called Huge Changes to Damage. That's me in the bottom right-hand corner looking pensive and thrilling. And it tells you all the guns that got buffed when you move from 60 to 90 frames per second, which is massive. And yet, yeah, obviously, I mean, if I just got 30 kills in Gold 1 on the Korea Japan server, then I'd get more views. But also, it's dog poop content. So go and check that out if you haven't already, because you'll actually probably learn something that'll make you a better PUBG Mobile player. When you've got targets that are very much stationary, the Vector can still be fine at mid ranges. At long ranges, you're not going to... This is about the limit of where you really want to be using the Vector. Anything further than that, and it becomes quite painful and not very effective at all. The other thing that's a little bit against the Vector is if you're used to spraying with, say, an M416 or a DP28 or a Scarrel or one of those things, they just have a much higher base damage round. 32 is very low. It's indicative of SMGs. It does very well in hip firing because you have explosive damage, which means you do more damage to limbs than you do with other rounds. The Vector, for instance, when you hit someone in the limbs with a Vector, you're just doing... Where are we here? Let's look at these numbers. I've got them all here in front of me. 19.7 damage to an arm hit and 18.8 to a leg hit. If you hit someone with a level 3 vest on, you're only going to be doing 14.4 damage on a Vector. So you actually get a huge bonus against targets with level 3 vests and things. When you hit them other than on the vest, you're doing more damage to them, which is kind of crazy. And that means it's excellent for third-party peeking and hip firing. Like, CQC-wise, you can get a lot of shots to land. You're going to note because of that low base damage, you got to hit a lot of times compared to running around with an M416. That is like 8 damage difference, which is a lot of damage. Like more than that, it's 8.9 damage difference, which is 28% on a Vector, which is a lot of difference. So you will also burn through ammunition. Like, this is the age-old problem of anyone that's run the Uzi a lot. You're going to have the same issue with the Vector. The rate of fire is just a joke. It is so fast that you're going to end up going through so much 9mm. And that can become an issue late game when a lot of people are not running 9mm. It means that you end up in situations where you're looting targets desperately looking for 9s and there's nothing there. I mean, hello... You've just rotated out of the blue, and the first thing you do is lie down behind a tree and have a good time. Yep, seems legit. This is another great example here. Watch this guy coming in, and you're going to see I get a lot of splatters with the Vector, even a couple of headshots. It's a couple of splatters there. And then get another couple there, or just a splatter there, and you've got to hit a lot more. Like, to clear a target with a Vector wearing a level 2 vest, just hitting the vest, and you're only doing, into a level 2 vest, you're only doing 19 damage. You've got to hit it 6 times from 100 health. You've got to hit a level 2 vest 6 times from 100 health, which, that's how it is. Hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you like this kind of content, there's plenty more coming down the pike as we review all these weapons and the changes that's been happening with them. Please like the videos. Please subscribe to the channel. Please help me out by sharing any videos that you feel are particularly useful. There's a lot of new stuff to take in, and there are a lot of changes to the meta that are coming. And if you're on the forefront of that, and if you're surfing that wave of change and justice, then you'll probably be a better player for it. Thank you so much, and as always, stay safe on the battlefield. Bye for now.